actually at the mountain bike, the cross-country men's mountain bike race. Where is that? I can tell you where it is. It's at Loshan. I've spent a lot of the time here at Loshan. It's a fantastic venue. We have the Loshan mountain bike course, we have the Loshan velodrome, and also the BMX. It is a supreme complex. There's also wonderful rooms there, almost like a five-star hotel where the Chinese have been based. Good question. You're actually ranked according to your world ranking, UCI world ranking, and the front line, obviously the world rank #1 is Julian Absalon. He is right there, as you can see, with #1. He's 4 from the right. Great Britain, we've got 2 in this event. Ollie Beckinsale, he's carrying plate number 18, and he is on the left of the screen as they come towards us on the second line, and Liam Killeen is the first man on the third line, because he actually is currently world ranked number 27. But it's a tar macadam start here, so they can get a lot of high leg speed, and then it swings onto the cross-country circuit. It's 4.4 kilometres a lap, and already the dust is flying, as you can see. They're coming up onto the first of the climbs. It's a park circuit here, and we feel that it could suit Ollie Beckinsale and, of course, Liam Killeen. Liam Killeen, a man who has ridden brilliantly in the past in cyclocross. So it's all a matter of these two riders from Great Britain trying to get higher up amongst the riders that started on the first line. And, of course, this is the last throw of the dice for the British cyclists to try and add to the staggering medal tally that we've already accumulated here in Beijing. But it's all about trying to beat one man, the undisputed king of the cross-country mountain bike, and that is Julian Absalon. 4 times a world champion and the defending Olympic champion. An event that was brought into the Olympic Games in Atlanta back in 1996. No man at the moment. Oh, there's a faller there. Somebody has gone down. It looks a bit like a British rider to me. Oh no, we've got a faller here, and it's Liam Killeen. Well, he's really hurt himself. Liam Killeen has gone down big time. That's exactly what happened to him in Athens, but it was about 150 metres after the start when he crashed heavily, and there's about 20 riders were on top of him, and he eventually came through to finish 5th. But Killeen, who has been out of sorts all last year, and we thought at one point he was going to retire, has begun to show lately the kind of form we associate with him, recently finishing 4th in the World Championships. But Killeen has gone down heavily there. Maybe we'll get a chance to see it again, but it looked to me on these narrow tracks that he was forced to the side, and I think he collided with one of those upright poles, and he was sitting on the side, and he looked winded to me. Oh, unbelievable. Liam Killeen, we'd had high hopes of him on this circuit. A circuit like a cyclocross race in a park that would favour him, and the reports that have come back are that he loved the course and he was looking eagerly to try and better that 5th place in Athens to get on the podium here. Well, well, well. Killeen sidelined from the crash. Oh, my goodness me. Anyway, this is Cabush of Canada that's had a good start. Cabush going well at the moment. Tapping that rhythm out at the front, but it's a brutal course, this. There's no respite at all. There's Absalon. He's not particularly near the front at the moment, but he'll pick his moment. Brutal, as I say, and it gets more technical as you get towards the end of the loop. The climbs are hard. You've got to select the right gear, and right at the point about 2 kilometres from the line, there's a zigzag climb similar to a mini Alpe d'Huez there. And it's the hardest section of the circuit. They've named it the Temple of Heaven, and you come off the summit of that facing a vertical drop. So it is going to be a very, very hard race indeed. Looking now for Ollie Beckinsale. Here is Beckinsale coming through. He's well down at the moment, so Beckinsale has got to do something about this. Here he is in the blue shorts and the white with the blue stripes down the sleeves. Beckinsale, well, he's about midway in the field at the moment. Long, long way to go as he fragments under the demands under the wheels. But for Liam Killeen, oh, what a start for the British star. Unbelievable. Switzerland now coming to the head. A strong country indeed, Switzerland. so many riders that they could send here, but of course each country can only have 3. Bouncing their way over these rocks. It's, of course, it's littered with slate and stones, and under the wheel a lot of red clay. The women's race was supposed to have been on the Friday, but the rain that peppered down, it would have been so treacherous. They would have been up to the rims in mud, and there would have been a lot more crashes than we're likely to see today. Well, we may well get a shot of that incident when Killeen took a real whack and sat out on the side. I think he winded himself. That was the problem. Pollison from Belgium coming through there. Big star, Pollison. Both the British competitors are triple Olympians, I should say, having ridden in Sydney and Athens. Well, Gary Sutton sitting alongside me there. He's Beckinsale again, settling down to the job in hand. 10th in this year's World Championships. Had a very good start there. Kalinski going through as well. And we're waiting to see whether Killeen has recovered from that crash. I mean, he was way off the pace in Athens at one point, but he recomposed himself and found the second wind and rode on, and eventually coming within a whisker of a medal. Haven't seen him yet.
Devastating start. I think it looked like he hit the left side of his knee. So, and if that's the case, I would say that.
Beckinsale, sorry Gary, yes.
Unlikely he will get back in, because he did look like he was badly hurt.
Well, it's a bit of bumping and boring there, wasn't it, because the track's are narrow, and I'm just wondering if he got nudged out. That's the problem. Still haven't seen him.
A lot of aggression early. I mean, they fight to get to the front as early as possible, just so they can get a good line, and Switzerland dominating at the moment, just taking control. Settling down, you've got Saucer near the front, Schurt, both from Switzerland. All the big players are here. That was Hermida of Spain. Also up there is the world's best man, Julian Absalon, defending champion. Had a slight blip this year, and he retired eventually in the World Championships, almost an unheard of thing. He was off colour, had a lot of mechanical problems, said he was exhausted. There he is, and he pulled out of the event, but he's back to his supreme iconic best here. Brilliant rider. This year he has won no less than 5 of the 7 rounds of the World Cup. Julian Absalon just powering his way through. France have had a barren time when it comes to cycling here at the Olympics, so maybe he can rectify that. Father actually passed away, Julian Absalon's father, in 2001, and he's actually carried on the passion of the family by continuing to keep that pig wine cellar stocked. And the profession, of course, as a professional mountain biker, enables him to be able to get good wines from all over the world. Look at this here. Vogelov, Switzerland, looking very, very powerful indeed at the front of the race. Trying to get past there, difficult to get through. That was Milatz of Germany. As you see, the rest of the standings going through, and I'm still searching at the moment for Killeen. Haven't seen him. Ollie Beckinsale at the moment in 25th position, 23 seconds back. He needs to try and move up as soon as possible if he can find a way clear. Look, there are a couple of the big rocks, and this course offers these problems throughout. You've got to be vigilant, brave, confident. They will have spent hours here finding the right line. Different options you can take there on either sides of the trees, which is obviously very dangerous in the middle of the actual course itself. We've witnessed quite a few crashes in the women's competition. This surface would be very loose, you know, I mean, after having 2.5 or 2 hours of racing already on this circuit.
Beckinsale 24th at the moment, as Switzerland take a stranglehold of the top positions. And sitting there in third wheel from France is the great Julian Absalon. So the heads of state have already taken up their positions where we expected them to. Massive crowd turned up here, something around about 15,000 people. There is the pit technical area. Now the rules in mountain bike have changed since Athens. And what it means here is when they go through those technical areas, they can pick up drinks, of course. And authorised technical assistance during a race now consists of repairs to the replacement of any part of the bike other than the frame. Bike changes are not permitted. Spare equipment, tools for repairs, they've got to be kept in the feed technical assistance zones and can be carried out by the rider himself or with the help of a teammate, team mechanic, or of course neutral assistance in that feed technical assistance zone. Outside those zones, technical assistance is only permitted between members of the NOC. It is a day when their choice of tyre pressures is of the optimum importance, and Gary, it'll be a day when a lot of fluid will be drunk.
They will pick probably 1 or 2 bins up each lap because of the way the pit area is set up. But the big thing is that you need to continue to drink throughout this race, because if you do dehydrate, you'll be in a lot of trouble. This is another part of the technical part of the circuit. A lot of concentration required here on these steep descents.
So in case you're listening to me saying NOC and you're wondering what I'm on about, it's National Olympic Committee. Sorry to confuse anybody there. So the rider coming through from RSA, that's Burry Stander actually, Republic of South Africa. Now this fella from South Africa has been going pretty well, I can tell you, in the build up to the Olympics. He got a good second place in Andorra in round 4 of the World Cup. So we're going to keep an eye out for him. He's also second in the World Under-23 Championships, only pipped by yet another Swiss rider, Nino Schurter. Now then, we're getting very near to this Temple of Heaven section, which is a bit like a mini Alpe d'Huez. And this morning, Joseph of New Zealand, one of the women competitors, went a real box of tricks on the descent when she lost her way. Straight over the handlebars, a little bit like the old BMX style. She was airborne and took a real bump as she came down, but fortunately she was able to carry on and finish the race. This is it, and now it's Belgium coming through. The proud Belgium, Roel Pollesen, has come to the head of the field, and he's got in his wheel the king himself, and that's Julian Absalon, and the 2 from Switzerland in the mix as well. He's a good rider, this fella, I tell you, Pollesen of Belgium. Just missed out on a medal in Athens when he finished 4th. He's going to be in the mix all the way through. Belgium's such a strong road nation. They used to be good on the track at one point, but that seems to have slipped away a little bit here. But it's now Pollesen of Belgium, trailed in behind Absalon in Athens by just over 3 minutes. And he is actually the world marathon mountain bike champion. And that means a race that takes approximately 4 hours as they literally fly down this descent. Gary and I walked down, had to wait for the old fella from Australia. He was in the right old state, but underfoot it was very difficult. But here under wheel, they make it look like a stroll in the park. It's back to that marathon mountain bike championship. It takes about 4 hours. And you'll never believe it, but at the end, Pollesen, the Belgian who's leading here, got the gold. But he actually crashed with a Swiss rider that's up here in the leading 4, and that's Christoph Sauser. They crashed in the final sprint after 4 hours. Can you believe it? And he actually crossed the line second, having to walk to the finish, but was then awarded the title when the judges decided that Sauser had taken his line away. Can you imagine that? After 4 hours. And Sauser's gone through. At the moment, he's lying in 4th position. So this race really now beginning to settle down into the pattern we expected, with all the big superstars near the front. Here are a few images of the start. Now we may just see the incident with Liam Killeen. This is the blast away from the start. Lovely Tar Macadam approach to the cross-country route. It's about 500 metres, so you get plenty of time to get the gear wound up. Certainly a test here as the riders sprint away. Now then, this might be it actually. No, this is further on in the race, so we're not going to see the Killeen incident, which is a shame. And it's a further shame that I haven't seen him go through. I have a feeling he's retired already. This is the problem. 13 minutes 54 they've been going. We've been saying we felt that the lap would take around about 15 minutes. Just to reiterate my earlier comment, the lap gets more and more technical as you get near to the finish. The two pit areas come one after 1.5 kilometres, and the second pit area comes after 3. Here we are, completion of the lap, tidied up, and it's quick. I said I thought about 15 minutes, but it's 14:29, 14:23 when they hit the line. Poloson of Belgium leading. From Certa, Absalon, Fontana is there from Italy. That's a good start for Fontana. You'll be well pleased with that. He's 25th world ranked, and he was actually the last man in the second line on the grid. So he's had a very good opening loop here. Fontana of Italy. Kesiakov just there on the right from Sweden in the national blue and yellow colours, and a nice little cluster of riders now beginning to ease their way clear. Trying to get on terms with them is Sukop of Austria, and behind him is Kalavi of the Czech Republic. Then a little gap. So these are the riders at the moment that have almost given the rest the slip, although it's not a lot. Now just look at the contrasting start here. Now this is where you see crashes occur. Oops, you see the speed is so steady, and that's where you run into trouble. It's the polished professionals who are gliding through these technical areas at high speed that find the good line. And that man there was Kwari from Zimbabwe. Obviously he never gets a chance to compete with this kind of company. Pace they're going across this surface is staggering. When you think under wheel, you can see it there. It is very rough indeed. Red sand that's soft in places, just a wrong line and you would be down. Big boxer tricks. Armida of Spain at the back of that cluster. It's amazing because when they rode the test event here August 12 months ago, the riders were actually complaining that the course was too easy. So the organisers did something about it, and there were one or two moans that now the course is too hard. So you can't please everybody, can you? Kesiakov now of Sweden has come right onto the head of the race. No medals in this competition ever won by Sweden. So this would be a little bit of a turn-up to say the least, although it's early speculation if a Swede was supposed to win it. I tell you, Liam Killeen, 48th at the moment. And well back at 2 minutes and 3 seconds. So that crash has cost him, and cost him dearly. What a shame for the likeable young fella from Malvern. Kesiakov 5th in the World Championships this year. Being consistent in all the World Cups, placing up there, 5th, 6th, finished 5th overall last year in the season-long competition. Look how hard it is. Just look at that. These little ramped-up sections, because it's off-road, just like climbing a mountain. This is a little bit of respite where they just come out of the off-road area onto that concrete, and then it's right back into this wooded area. The course here sitting within the backdrop of the Lo Chanol mountain. Never seen anything like this. The Lo Chanol mountain. I tell you what, it's witnessing a contest now of gladiatorial proportions as Kesiakov is still on the front, followed by Absalon. Third is Certa of Switzerland, and behind Certa is Christoph Sauser. All the big favourites then have read the move well, and also there is Perrault of France. So France have got two right up there in the mix. The Italian is still on the pace as well. That's Marco Fontana from Belgium just coming through. That was the second Belgian just going through there, I think. First Belgian we know is right up there on the pace is Poloson. Now here's a chance to look on the right of our screen. Killeen is fallen, as I said a little earlier, and he sits down. To me, he looks totally winded, or he's hurt his knee. And the upshot of that is that Liam Killeen A rider who'd got high hopes of a medal chance today has paid dearly for that, and he's trailing the rest of the field by 2 minutes and in 48th spot of the 50. So Liam Killeen be greatly disappointed with that. So we'll concentrate on the Bristolian that's in this event. This is Ollie Beckinsale. Beckinsale fancies his chances of trying to get a high finishing position here on this kind of course. Let's hope he can produce something. He was 23rd in Sydney on that course in Fairfield City Farm, and then Beckinsale was 17th in the event that took place in Athens. Best place in the Olympic mountain bike competition since its inception back in 1996 is Gary Ford, actually, who finished 12th. Gary Ford, the coach to Liam Killeen, good friend of mine, and he actually texted me just before the event to say that Liam will get stronger in the closing 20 minutes of the race, and he's in the form of his life. He felt going better than the World Championships. Well, Gary, I know, will be devastated. He'll be watching this back home in his shop. It sits just near the glorious area of Milford Common on the edge of Cannock Chase. And he, I know, will be very, very sad for Liam, because he does communicate and give him a lot of guidance. There we are, it's Kessiakoff of Sweden still at the front. Absalon second, just waiting his time. It's almost as though he puts on a show for most of these. I remember Fort William last year in the World Championship. He just took off when he was ready after about a couple of laps, built up a big lead, and then in the end he just literally rode the last lap as a lap of honour and cruised over with a slender advantage ahead of Ralph Naif, just 25 seconds, but he could have gone a country mile ahead. But we'll see where or how he's going to handle this today. Perrault of France also going through. Nice ride by him. Hermida's there, the silver medal winner from Athens. And that's Paulison of Belgium. So Paulison has slipped back a little bit. Remember, he had got the head of the race. Early thoughts, Gary?
Well, I mean, just to give you a little bit of an idea how tough this circuit is, if you had a max heart rate of 200, your heart rate would sort of even out at about 180. And I mean, for the whole 2 hours, so that's an indication of just how tough this circuit is. I think you've mentioned many times the defending champion. He's going to be one of the big favourites. I mean, at the moment, I think they're just sort of playing around with each other, following each other, not sort of putting the hammer down too hard, but I'm with you. Number one is certainly going to be the one to beat.
There are the standings for you as we're approaching 22 minutes of race action completed. Here we go. Absalon has decided, Midway round lap 2. I've had enough of the company. I'm off. Now then, they're going to be clinging to his coattails here, because once this fella ignites the burners, he is a man that cannot hardly be contained. And it's Switzerland and Sweden going with him, and there's a sense of panic creeping into this now. Look at this, they're out of the saddle, trying to raise the higher leg speed and engage the right gear, because Absalon of France here is a man trying to make history by becoming the first mountain biker to win the title back-to-back. Nobody's done it yet, and look at this, he's put the fright amongst the rest of the competitors. Daylight beginning to appear now, and this is where, of course, you can make a mistake, because he's so talented. He can ride faster than anybody else, and what happens is the other riders who try to cling to him, they're taking risks, because they're looking to try and look for the good route through the hazards and the trees, and that is where they can fall. So it's now Absalon of France just dropping his foot on the throttle and dropping it heavier and heavier. And what happens is the pace then gets to an intolerable pace, where the rest of the athletes are gulping in the hot air, probably searching for a bottle for a drink, and they're going slightly too quick, and that's when they hit a stone and probably fall. Now then, what's he going to make of the Mini Alpe d'Huez that leads up to the Temple of Heaven, the one we have marked out as probably the key point of the course? Crowd loving this. Such a talent, isn't he, Gary? He's blown the rest away here.
Well, didn't even reach out for the water bottle going through that feed station there. I think he's just putting the just put the hammer down a little bit, just to have a look at, and then have a look over his shoulder. Still a long way to go. After 23 minutes, there's been an enormous amount of damage done already. You mentioned the riders spread out everywhere.
Certainly are. It's young Schurter from Switzerland that's gone with him, the world-ranked Number 6 is the youngest of the men from Switzerland in the race. He's only 22, the world under-23 champion. And that has certainly caused a problem. The wall of attrition has started to reflect here as riders are all over the place. And remember, we haven't completed lap 2 yet, and already Absalon, with that uncontrollable thirst for victory, is in the form of his life here. Look at this. On he goes. He looks back and said, right, you think you can stay with me? Think again. And now you see he finds that extra special gear and the right route. Just watch the technique of this man. A master at work. He is master class. This may well be the pivotal moment of the race, coming so early as well. This is exactly what he did in Fort William. And once he gets out ahead on his own, he's never phased. His concentration is beyond 100%, and he finds the best line and then goes further and further away. This is the other Frenchman you're looking at, Perrault. And you can hear, whoa, here we go, swing about. That's a problem, isn't it? That's still Kwari of Zimbabwe. He's having a few problems, this fella. He's going to take back a lot of memories to Zimbabwe, forced to run.
A little bit of a mechanical problem there, maybe with the front chain.
He'll get some good support, but it's the head of the race we want to concentrate on, because Absalon has already decided he is going to make a bid for victory. This is the next little cluster behind the key players at the front, and Kesiakov of Sweden just there has slipped back. You remember, he was trying to get clear when the last time we saw them. Now then, this is the climb. Here's Absalon. Just look what he makes of it. Nothing at all. Takes a wide sweep there, so he can just glide off the bank section, a little bit like a track. Now, just here, it's about a 1 in 4, 1 in 5, so he will have already engaged the perfect gear. And look at that, dances his way up to the summit on the pedals. On and on he goes, and of course that, whilst it doesn't look very far, is an enormous advantage, because he's now on the descent, and this is the descent that needs a lot of vigilance and caution. Heavily rutted, lots of big slates and rocks. You could go a real box of tricks here, but he doesn't. And now he settles down to the job in hand, and just ahead of him now there are 2 more little ramped up sections which will really take the sting out of the legs. You see the foot down there, almost went. You never saw that happen with Absalon, got it absolutely spot on. But Schurter, Nino Schurter of Switzerland, almost went. Just about rectified the problem. Sukop further back, trying to get on terms, but that has inflicted an enormous amount of damage. That injection of pace by the defending champion here has caused the problem. Look at this now, they're all trying to play catch-up. What an athlete.
He was asked a question about the conditions, how the hot weather, how he's going to handle the hot weather or the cold or the rain. He said, I love it all. Very, very positive athlete. He said, I train 7 days a week. He said, I train in all conditions. Well,
he does.
After 2 laps, it's just amazing. I'm surprised. And we just see a little bit of a problem here. The chain moving around, maybe coming off the bike.
That's because he's got the selection of a lower gear, but the rear derailleur, there we are, you get a cracking view of the rear derailleur there. It's much longer, you see, to be able to cope with the big span of gear ratios on a mountain bike. And of course they will have suspension on these bikes that they can bring into play on the very rocky areas on the course. Irons out the hammering on the forearms and the wrists. But you're looking at a master here, the greatest. I always call him the greatest mountain bike rider of all time. We had Der Nies of Denmark a long time ago, won 3 world titles back to back, but for me, Julian Absalon is the best. So I'm hearing there's a chance of a British gold in another arena, so we're going to take a short break here from the cross-country race. 6 more laps to go. big crash here. Look at this, one of the Russians going down, but totally oblivious of it is Absalon, who is in the lead. Well, just for interactive viewers, let me... Well, for interactive viewers, we're just going to take a short break from commentary. We'll leave you with the pictures. We'll be back. Well, you're looking here at the master, continuing at the front, Julian Absalon, Hugh Porter and Gary Sutton back with you now. Apologies for the short breather. Hope you didn't mind, but you didn't miss any of the action. Well, I must admit the Italian's going well here. He's in the mix. This is Marco Fontana. 25th UCI world ranked is Fontana of Italy. But this is the man that's taken flight. The rest, well, they can only play catch-up. Fontana, the only place I've got him down as this year is when he got 5th, actually, in round 3 of the World Cup in Madrid in Spain. Gear selections just right, the power of the man executed perfectly, the balance, everything is right about this fella. Terrific calf and thigh development, and a really likeable fella as well. And the rest, here they are. This is the chasing posse behind, being led by Christophe Sauser up there in the group as well. Is Schurter, and also Perrault of France, Fontana of Italy, Kessiakov of Sweden. It almost seems impossible, isn't it? It almost defies belief that this one man, with his power, speed and strength, can, when he's ready, just power his way away from the rest. And you've got 5 there together who can actually share the workload, as they say in cycling, by doing bit and bit. That's a rider taking the pace on, and then another one sharing it with him. And yet they cannot keep up with Julian Absalon.
It's a lot different to racing on the road, though, because, I mean, you can share the workload and get into the slipstream on this type of circuit where full concentration is required. It's a technical circuit, very tough circuit. I mean, it is hard to share the workload, and this man is in control here at the moment.
Well, control, I think it's an understatement, Gary. I think he's in a race of his own, and the rest have just turned up to have a bash at 2nd and 3rd, haven't they? He does make it look so easy. Well, they won the BMX gold medal in the women's competition with ACC and Caroline Chasson. And now Absalon is looking good. Well, they've got 1st and 2nd at the moment out there on the road at 2.5 laps. Perrault is in 2nd place. What a story that would be if France were to finish 1st and 2nd. Clean sweep of the top 2 spots on the podium. That would be something, wouldn't it? Perrault, pretty good rider. He gets a lot of good places in the World Cups, and 7th this year in the World Elite Mountain Bike Championships. I should say last year in Fort William. Now then, this is a rider I expected to be right up at the front of the shake-up, and that's Boris Stander of South Africa. Slip back a little bit here. He needs to try and get on the case if he can. He's only 20 years of age, this guy. Big future ahead of him, and he's chasing down Fumich of Germany. Meanwhile, through the technical pit area, Absalon continues. He's not bothered about anybody. He's taken flight. He's got wings on his wheels, this fella. He's absolutely scorching his way around the course. The amount of times they're forced to get out of the saddle and power their way up these climbs, a little bit like going into a gymnasium and doing a series of squats and half squats all the time, so it is very demanding. Would you concur with that, Gary?
I'd really go as far to say that out of all the disciplines in our sport, this is probably one of the hardest. I mean, when you've got to have your heart rate so high for so long, and I mean, you're in and out of the seat. I mean, conditions are tough. The roads are not the best. I mean, he's in a situation out there by himself. I mean, the chasing group may still work together. I mean, there's still a long way to go, and timing's got to be perfect. You've got to make sure you don't stay out there too long, or you don't go over the edge. You can go out in this sort of competition or this style of race. If you go out too hard too early, you're going to pay the penalty in the later stages.
I don't think that's part of his makeup, though. He seems to go better and better. No problem at all. Julian Absalon. And for people back home and watching this mountain bike race, they'll be loving every moment of it.
It's a bit like an individual time trial on the road, where you've got to be careful you don't go over the top or push yourself over the edge with your heart rate. You need to just maybe control yourself. I mean, the good thing about this man and why he's so good, he's confident. I mean, he's got fantastic skills. You don't do what he's doing. He makes it look easy. And we have walked the circuit. We know how tough and how hard I mean, some of these descents, I was actually scared walking down them, let alone riding a bike down them, so it's...
Doesn't take much to scare you, though, these days,
Well,
I mean, you were a bit of a toughie, but...
Well, yeah, I don't like to hear...
It must be an age thing, what do you think?
Yeah.
You're looking at Heymans here from Namibia. He got a big mullet under that helmet, I can tell you, because don't you remember we talked to him in Melbourne in the park when he was riding in the Commonwealth Games? There's a little motorbike ahead there. They have a motorbike that precedes the race. That's to make sure that the course is clear all the time. And I tell you what, that fella will use a bit of gas up today because Absalon's almost going as quick as him. Look at this. If you saw the angle of this climb, I think our description as a mini Alpe d'Huez is correct. Just forced to anchor around that corner. See the veins in his arms are standing out like drain pipes. That's always, of course, a reflection of all the vibration. Kicks again on that little uphill section. And then where are the rest? Somewhere behind Absalon, there's 49 more riders all galloping around this course. Astonishing display here, the personification of athleticism is Julian Absalon. This is the rider from Namibia I was on about earlier on, isn't it? Heymans. So there's the vibration. Look, you can see his arms shaking. Ramirez, Costa Rica.
One of the few parts of the circuit where you can just take it a little bit easy and enjoy having a quick drink. And again, I mean, how rough is this circuit? The indication there of the chain bouncing around.
Equipment needs to be tough.
Look at that.
He's growing in strength and confidence as the race continues here. Absalon. Another lap tidied up. Here he comes, scorching down the finishing straight, getting a nice warm reception. 42.21 he's taken to cover 3 laps. And this little lip here, he just powers up there without any problem at all. Just waiting for the caption to confirm how they're forming behind, because Perrault, also of France, was in the shake-up there. Yes, well, look at this, 1 and 2 at the moment. Jean-Christophe Perrault of France is lying second, trailing the skipper of the French team by 33 seconds. This is a terrific clinical display of dominance in the early stages of the men's mountain bike race. Sousa, Switzerland third, Fontana of Italy is fourth. There together with them is the young Swiss rider Schurter, Kessiakoff you just saw cross the line, and then Hermida going through. Hermida Ramos, they've got another rider in the race as well, La Jarretta, but he's much further back. He's the next rider to complete the lap, and then they're out onto lap 4. It's literally flying by this race. That's Fumich of Germany. 1:22 back already. But the last we heard about Olimpic, he was 1 minute and 35 back. May well have made a little bit of time up. And over 2 minutes, Killeen. confirm those positions when they cross the line. This is the fourth lap.
Like the women's event, the athletes would be getting a lot of instructions from the side, from the coaches spread out over the circuit.
64 seconds is the time across the first 7. Sorry, Guy, yes.
And you need to get that information as well, because it's encouraging if you know that you're holding your competitors at the same time, or you know who's coming up to join you, of course.
Belgian Sven Nys there, multinational, world, I should say, cyclocross champion. Good spot by him at the moment, and behind him the second Spaniard I mentioned, La Jarreta. Here we go, still going strong, Absalon.
Big crowd spread out all over the circuit.
There's a difference in techniques. That's Van Hoots, Rudy Van Hoots of the Netherlands. Oh, he's lost it. Oh, my goodness me, that'd be painful. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Oh. He lost it, didn't he? Tried to regain his balance, but it was never on. And that was Van Hoots of the Netherlands that ignominiously hit the deck.
Makes you wonder how they keep getting up after something like that.
Wins you, doesn't it?
It does, and plus the, I mean, being the type of circuit with a lot of rocks and injuries and things like that. Anyway, he'll no doubt jump back on the bike and continue on.
Fluid intake there for Absalon, and Kesiakov of Sweden now looks as though he's struggling a little bit to stay with that group ahead. They're riding away from him. Needs to try and bridge, make contact and get back into the wheels of that little group going away. The fella at the front, Absalon, doesn't need any company. He's not an unsociable fella, it's just the rest can't keep up with him.
Well, he's in a class of his own at the moment, but the thing that surprises me, he doesn't have a water bottle on his bike. He's hardly picked up one going through the pit area.
I think what he does, Gary, he drinks, throws it away and then collects one at the next pit. I think it might be a plan of his, I don't know. That's the second Frenchman, Perrault.
And I think you're right too, because it'll be too difficult there. I mean, on this circuit, there's only 1 or 2 places where you can have a drink.
Jean-Christophe Perrault, who's lying second. He's 31 years of age, this fella. Well, he is having the ride of his life, the absolute ride of his life, Perrault. Never won a medal in the World Championship. He's knocked on the door of the podium, but he's never hit the podium. 8th he was in the World Championships in Les Gets in France back in 2004, and he got 7th in Fort William, but he's never quite made it. 35 seconds only, the chase group. Well, he's far from over, of course, this race. I mean, this is just the sort of middle section, but the pattern has well and truly established itself with all the superstars that we expected to be in the shake-up. They are in the shake-up, but they're all being shook about by this man.
I remember back in Sydney, because I was at the mountain bikes. I played a part on the circuit and doing timing, etc. But I can remember the Switzerland and a few of the other countries went out very hard early in the competition, and around about 3/4 of the way through,
it was Thomas Frischneck.
Yep. And about halfway, 3/4 of the way through, bang, lights out all over. Oh, not all over, but I mean, certainly got caught, and the whole race turned around.
It was a diminutive figure of Miguel Martinez of France that actually won that contest. He's a road rider now. His father was King of the Mountains winner in the Tour de France, and Miguel Martinez was bronze medal winner in Atlanta. The interesting thing about this is that France have placed in the medals every year. Martinez, bronze, 96, gold 2000, and the last year was Absalon, and it's looking at the moment as though it could be gold again. Just heard the sign, the shout from the side. Did you? Allez Julien, Allez Julien. There's a lot of French. Hey, there's Beckinsale going through. Now then, what wheel was Beckinsale in of Great Britain? It looked as though he was in the wheel of a Frenchman. You are allowed 3, remember. According to your rankings, you win yourself a place. Third Frenchman is Cedric Ravenel. So Beckinsale is with Cedric Ravenel, and he's just gone through. Having a good one. Check his position moment. Beckinsale at the moment lying 16th at 2:24. He wants a top 10 place. It's his ambition, and I think he's working at it. He was 17th in the Athens Olympics. Liam Killeen at the moment 27th in the race. Well, when you think he was 48th at one point when he'd had the bad crash, he's slowly but surely moving back to the field.
Well, that's a big comeback, because I thought it was all over when he sat on the side of the course there with that, looked like a knee injury to me. And I
thought it was a knee. I thought he collided with one of those poles or something, but it doesn't seem to be the case. We don't really know the full story, do we? But I'm impressed with Perot here. He's got the maestro pegged at 35 seconds. Clock ticking away on the rest. That's the little group behind Perot.
It'll be interesting if that time does come down on this next lap, because
it'll be history that I would be witnessing, because I just think this fella's unstoppable.
Well, we did see what happened in the women's competition. 2 of the big favourites.
Oh, still can't come to terms with that. Fremont and Fuana, the world champion, who were swapping turns at the front on the opening lap to try and get the head of the race, and then by the end of the lap they've gone, retired. Can't understand it. Here are the standings, you can see. No intruders from the riders we've been calling. Spaniard is the shout. The race now well and truly underway. The line, when it gets crossed next time, will be the midway point. Ooh. Now then, Absalon, I don't believe what I saw, Julian. Now, I thought he was going to fall there. Almost lost his line, but he quickly rectified it. Privilege, of course, of wearing plate number 1 as the defending Olympic champion.
In the seat, out of the seat.
There's no respite here, is there, at all?
Big crowd, a lot of encouragement from the side here. Look at that, you can see going from one side to the other. The surface starting to get nice and loose as well, which makes things more difficult.
I know it's a well-used phrase of yours, but oh, he's fallen almost. Absalon almost lost it there. He almost went down. It only needs one fall, a chain derailment, and then, of course, that little gap behind quickly can be wiped away. Well, the master himself now beginning to make mistakes, but of course tiredness begins to creep into the event as the distance unfurls under the wheels, and as tiredness creeps in, then your muscles become fatigued, and then you're not as sharp and alert, and you make mistakes. Now, this is the guy that was on the floor, remember? Look at the colour of his jersey. He really went down, didn't he? This is Rudy van Hats of the Netherlands. Good work for the washing machine there. Look at that.
Incredible. And that, I mean, we've spoke about the circuit, and I mean, in some parts of the circuit it's a little bit soft from all the rain they've had.
Still looking for a replacement, the Netherlands, to the great Bart Brentjens, who was the Olympic champion the first time this race was held. And Brentjens got himself a bronze the last time the race was held, so he's got a couple of medals. from the Olympics. And this fellow, of course, wants to successfully retain his crown. That's a superb view, isn't it? It gives you the idea of just how hard this climb is. Now, this left-handed, it's a pity we can't just look down from the top here at him approaching, because that would underline, flag up how difficult this section is. Although you can get a feel of it from that angle.
I thought he was starting to look tired, and he went up there like it was the first time, so looking very good indeed.
He's not going to let this gold medal go without a serious scrap, I tell you.
And that was one of the corners he had a little bit of a problem with, 1 or 2 laps back. No difficulty getting around there that time.
Nobody at all. Nobody in sight. Remember, it's his fellow countryman, Jean Perrault, that should be next. Yes, it is. Perrault coming through next. Oh, France are having a great day here, aren't they? Within sight of the Lausanne Old Mountain. Providing the perfect arena for this concluding event of the cycling disciplines in Beijing. Now, what's happening with this guy? Doesn't look comfortable at all, does he? This is Piaz of Colombia. And the Japanese rider as well. Not looking particularly happy. I think this is Yamamoto of Japan. As we get a few images of Absalon on that tricky, rocky descent.
Conditions knocking everyone around here. I mean, it is so hot. Humidity has dropped a bit, which probably helps to a certain degree, but you've still got to do all the small things properly. You've got to make sure you keep the fluids, the food in. I mean, it's over 2 hours, and already we can see, I mean, there's enormous gaps between these riders after 56 minutes into the competition.
Gels, they'll be consuming gels, Gary?
Yeah, they'll just take gels on a day like today. They're not going to sort of have too much solid food or bananas, I wouldn't imagine. Gels is probably the easiest way to go.
Instant energy, isn't it?
It is, and look at this man.
Oh, he's looking at the arena just over to his left. Here we go, anchoring on left, onto the tarmac Adam, coming up to the line, the midway point here in Lausanne, Beijing, of the men's mountain bike race. And it's Julien Absalon of France that crosses the line first. The clock ticks on as we wait for the arrival of the competitor in the silver medal position, his fellow countryman, and that's Jean Perrault. It's interesting to see what the gap is. It was around about 35 seconds the last time split. Pounds his way onto the sand again. And just hold those bar ends, which gives you a lovely comfortable position, which means you can pull hard, and it keeps the shoulders back. Chest open to gulp in the air. There's the gap, 37 seconds. So it is bridgeable, and Absalon knows he's got his work cut out to hold off his teammate. He's not getting clear, is he? 36, in fact, not 37.
Well, 36 seconds is not a lot in mountain bike terms, because, I mean, it's on a technical circuit. And again, I keep going back to the women's race. We had a situation there where, you know, you've only got to catch a pedal on one of the rocks or whatever it may be, or be delayed or stop or have to get off your bike, and that time drops back fairly quick.
Now these riders are just about going to drop into the arena, but we saw a shot back there of Kessiakoff of Sweden. Now, if that was the shot on the third rider, it means that Kessiakoff has once again come through, although he does jump around a little bit with the shots here, so we're not too sure. Well, third rider to cross the line is 1:31 back. It's Schurter, in actual fact, ahead of Sousa, the two riders from Switzerland. Fumic is there, and Fontana, so that's a nice little group together. Why we got the shot of Kessiakoff, I don't know, from Sweden. Looking at the representative of Belgium, Sven Nys, 3 times a world cyclocross champion. And this course, of course, will suit him, because this is not too dissimilar to a cyclocross course. Obviously slightly bigger, but the paths and the underwheel, and obviously the course itself is very much the same. And look at this, Nice have now prized himself up into the top 10. So the Belgian's looking good. Third in those World Cyclo Cross Championships held in Italy earlier this year, Nice, and he was the World Elite Cyclo Cross Champion 2005. Absalon, by the way, Gary, I don't know if you know, before he carved his name in the history books to win 4 elite titles back-to-back, was twice the World Under-23 champion. So he's a man that only collects the rainbow stripes. He doesn't bother with any other position. It's not a bad club to be in, that is it? 6 times a world champion. Impressed?
Well, very much so. I mean, he's not going to let this one go. I just get the feeling he had a great race strategy. He's gone out early, sat in a little bit early, then went whack and sort of made a bit of a move to try and stir things up to see who was going to move with him in those early stages. He's got a good gap, still a long way to go, of course. This is, again, this type of circuit, it's up and down for the whole duration. There's no, there's not an area only for the start-finish line where you can recover just that little bit, or just have that little bit of a break for probably 20 or 30 seconds.
And just for the record, he was the World Junior Champion as well. So when you think that this man here, he only settles for top spot on any podium in World Championships, and now he's looking to make history by becoming the first man to retain the Olympic crown. Paola Pezzo in the women's did it, Atlanta and Sydney, but no man. France have been there before Absalon appeared, with Miguel Martinez winning in Sydney. They've had a very good record in this event. This is his teammate, who's having the ride of his life here, Perot.
Just the difference between him with Perot and Absalon. Absalon just looked like he was a little bit more relaxed, didn't he, in the upper body and just in full control. Even though the gap is back to 36 seconds. That look easy. Very technical part of the circuit. This rough part of very steep descent there.
This Italian's impressing me today as well, I must admit. He's not a man I'd got down to be in the shake-up for the top spots, but Fontana is going well.
Well, he's taken a bit of a tumble too. If you just look on his side of him there, so he's bounced back well. They're as hard as nails, these guys.
Certainly are. Schurter's there. 3 Swiss packed together there. Rider from Germany's tucked in as well.
They look happy just to sort of stay together at this stage, don't they? They don't look...
Some sorting out to come here, though. We haven't had the final selection, definitely, for the medals. I think things could still change. I think the lead for Perot is tenuous, and any one of this little group could take off if they could rid themselves of the shadows following them and pull that other man back. Wondering if they are ever going to get up to Absalon. Can't believe it. Certainly adapted fantastically to the hot conditions. For British followers, I can tell you that Killeen is now up to 21st and he is 3 minutes and 36 seconds back. Just having a look for Ollie Beckinsale. Ollie Beckinsale, at the moment, he's not showing a finishing time here at the end of that lap. Beckinsale is, my apologies. Ollie is 15th. 15th for Beckinsale at the moment. Swiss rider on the side there. Problems for him. Absalon continues here to plough the lonely furrow at the front. We're midway round this fourth lap and the gap is continuing to tick on here. Now Perot is slipping back. .49 seconds, so Absalon once again is beginning to drop the foot on the pedal here. Either that or Perot is paying for the effort to try and chase him down. He's going to have to be careful because there's that group of riders behind him that could sweep him up. Seconds. Certainly not an advantage of comfort. We've got an Irish rider here confirmed as a non-finisher, Robin Seymour. Now when he gets to the other side there, we may well see the pursuers. Mind you, that's bigger than 49 seconds, but if they pan back, you might just see them coming down to the right-hander. Now he's gone. Gone. If it had just gone up to the left, you might just have caught a glimpse of Perot there. Yep, here is Absalon. And you can see, look at this, Fontana, you see, is, let's work that out. You can see the gap, can't you? 2:04 back from the leader. So that's a big advantage at the moment for Perot in silver over the bronze contest behind, which is still yet to resolve itself with that great cluster of riders all together.
Your comment earlier about the French 1-2, and it's looking very good.
It certainly is. Kessier again from Sweden. He's lying 9th at the moment. He had the head of the race, didn't he, at one point? Gaps have certainly established themselves now, well and truly, and those gaps are not bridgeable. Meerhaga, that was number 40 of Belgium, got the silver medal in the event. To Martinez in Sweden, sorry, in Sydney, I should say, back in 2000. This is La Jarreta from Spain. And we're looking at one of the German competitors here. This is Wolfram Kirchert of Germany. Meerhaga right behind him. One of the areas of the circuit where you can actually take a drink in safety.
You don't get much time though, do you?
You certainly do not.
Quick glance over your left shoulder to see who's coming up behind.
Take your eye off it, you're in trouble, big time. You can hear the supporters from France here. Allez, allez, allez. And they've got to replicate that call in about 50 seconds time, because Perrault is coming down as well for France. What a ride they're having here, the French.
Pick this man to win. At the moment, they're in a good situation. The French in 1 and 2. Big gap back to third, so third place at the moment.
Americans are way out of it, aren't they?
I thought they would have been very competitive.
That was Todd Wells we just saw briefly. Well, the sport was invented over there in I think Colorado or California, and yet amazingly they've never managed to win a medal of any colour. Let's have a look at the technique of Perrault here, second man in the contest. French commentator who sat alongside us, who had a face as long as the back straight when they lost the possibility of winning the gold medal in the team sprint, he'd be rubbing his hands with glee now. I bet he was yesterday as well when they nailed gold in the women's BMX. He's got an opportunity of getting more success here, and he's coming right at the end of the games. His biceps just flopping around like jellies, aren't they, on the arms? That's the vibration. Look at that.
Well,
tremendous shot, eh?
Not only do they do a lot of off-road training and racing, of course, they do a lot on the road itself as well.
Oh,
like,
yes.
You know, long distances, so they're very fit. They carry no weight.
A lot of these mountain bikers are very good on the road as well. Now then, the stadium is once again within his sights. This is the end of lap 5, 3 more to go. Well, I can tell you that we are looking at a master here. The iconic figure of Julian Absalon, who's turned on the style big time. Took flight midway round lap 2, and nobody has seen his back wheel since. But the news for France is they are having a cracker of a day, because lying second at the moment is Absalon's teammate, and that is Jean-Christophe Perrault. He's going very, very well indeed, the 31-year-old, and he's lying in the silver medal position. But behind Perrault is who you're looking at now is a cluster of riders who are contesting the bronze medal. There's an Italian amongst that group as well, Fontana, who's having a good outing. And the last news we received about the British is that they're still going, and 15th position at the moment for Beckinsale, 24th for Killeen. There's the gap, 54 seconds. Absalon is leading Perrault. At one point, Perrault was starting to close down. He got within about 33 seconds off him, and then the multi-world champion decided to once again turn on the style and unfurl his magic, and he's taken flight and distanced himself more and more from anybody that would have the temerity to try and challenge the man to the gold medal. This is La Jarreta of Spain, second place Spaniard in the race. Hermida is ahead of him. Good shouting for the rest, as you know, and can see there's a lot of supporters here today, and the chant around the course, we're hearing a lot of Allez Julien and Allez Jean, because there's a big fan base here for these two French competitors. Looking at the rider from Switzerland, Nino Schurter, still going well, the world under-23 champion, and he's got Fontana with him from Italy. They've just gone off the summit of that little climb that will drop them down into the arena, so that flags up the difference between Absalon and Perrault, as they're looking for the line to complete the 5th lap of this contest. The clock ticking, you can see on the big screen there, they're trailing through at 2 minutes and 13 seconds, and that is the contest for bronze. And it is now a battle between Switzerland and Italy for that 3rd place on the podium. These are some of the back markers tackling the mini Alpe d'Huez as it is. Now let's have a look at the technique of this guy. Looks a bit unnerved, doesn't he, as he comes down the rocky descent. That's Valeriano from Brazil as the next rider crosses the line here. Hermida, that was of Spain, the silver medal winner in Athens, but he's certainly not having it his own way today. So we've had 8 riders come through this finishing funnel. Really, there's 2 sections where they come off the cross-country part. That is the one you just saw, and there's another one about a third of the way through the course. Good ride by Nice of Belgium. He's slowly picking his way through the field. Nice, a former world cyclo-cross champion, has adapted very well to the mountain bike discipline. Hermida behind him, and Boris Stander from South Africa, he's also starting to improve. That's Kessiakov of Sweden, who at one point was leading. But nobody is going to deny this man the gold medal. France, as I was saying a little earlier, have had a good run in the mountain bike. Miguel Martinez was the bronze medal winner the first time it was ever run in Atlanta. Then Martinez won the gold medal the next year in Sydney. Absalon carried on from where Martinez left off, and at the moment he's looking very, very good for the top spot again. So there's only been one intruder for the top podium position, and that came with Bart Brentjens the first year it was won. Brentjens from Holland. Holland searching, of course, for a Brentjens replacement. 55 seconds, it's beginning to grow again. He took a breather on the previous lap, Absalon. Now once again he's beginning to drop his foot on the throttle. Gulps the fluid in, tosses the bottle away, so he's not carrying any extra weight for too long, and sweeps around yet another one of the corners that he makes look so easy. Had a couple of hiccups, almost fell on one of the bends when he slightly overcooked it, but quickly rectified the problem and continued. There we vociferous Frenchman on the side there, encouraging Absalon. I remember when we were in Fort William for the World Championships last year, a big fan club came over for Absalon, and the atmosphere was electric on that popular course. That was voted actually the best course of the whole of the World Cup series. But this park circuit here, within sight of the Low Chanol mountain, is providing us with a very, very good contest.
Big climb here, makes it look easy. He did pick this man to win. He said he was in a class of his own, and at the moment that's exactly what he's doing, in full control. Just lays the body back behind that seat there so he doesn't go over the handlebars.
And if you look, as you observed earlier on, the bottle cage is empty, so he doesn't hang on to the bottles for very long. Gets the fluid in him and then throws it away. But while we're looking at those images, it's just a chance for me to give a little plug for the World Cup that's taking place in Manchester the last weekend of October and the first couple of days into November, and that'll be an opportunity for you to see all our great heroes from Beijing when they race on the track in round 1 of the World Cup. Tickets are already going like hotcakes, so there's going to be a massive crowd, a sellout every day for the 3 days of the World Cup round 1 in Manchester, end of October, beginning of November. It will be a triumphant return for our heroes from Beijing. Well, it's almost a minute now, the lead for Absalon. Professional going about the job, no problem for him at all.
He spoke about this is a bit like riding an individual time trial.
Let's just draw your attention to that bike there. That is a bike that only has one front fork blade. You may just see another shot of that. It's being ridden by the Italian Fontana. I must admit, I looked over one of those bikes and saw that. I found it very off-putting, but it is one of the peculiarities of mountain biking. And just to reiterate the change in the rules, they can, of course, now change anything that becomes damaged apart from the frame, but it must take place right there in the tech feed zones. Halfway round lap 5. 1 hour, 18 minutes of competition completed.
Just going back to the time trial, it's like riding an individual time trial. The first lap, they average 18.5 kilometres an hour, and on the 5th lap, exactly the same time. So it just goes to show you the experience and control that this person has, the race leader.
So they're approaching now the end of this lap, and it's still the man, the maestro, the iconic figure of Julien Absalon of France that's in complete control. Still a contest going on here behind. Perot is beginning to fall back now. He's either falling back after that big effort to try and bridge and make the juncture with Absalon. Here he is. Or Absalon's going further away. We'll soon get to know by how close the chasers behind Perot are, because this, remember, is the silver medal position you're looking at.
Well, he had just a touch over a minute ahead of that chasing group. So as you said, it's a matter of whether they're gaining or he's losing time on Absalon. Well, we certainly know he's losing time on Absalon, so as everyone else is as well.
Clock ticking away for the riders behind Perot. So at the moment he has got, when he gets up to 2:8, he will have a minute's advantage, won't he?
Just a quick drink of the bottle there from Absalon. As you mentioned before many times, he just throws it away. He's not going to carry it on the bike. The chances of him staying on are low. In saying that, Perot, he's got the water bottle there, just in case he gets a little bit dry on a part of the circuit where they're not feeding. The gap goes to 1:08. We're just waiting on the next call, and at the moment it's well over the 2.5 minutes.
It's looking good, isn't it? I just had a bit of news coming through that the tickets for Saturday and Sunday, actually, for that first round of the World Cup in Manchester are already sold out. So there's the popularity of the event, stimulated, of course, by the excellent coverage from BBC, as everybody's been following the great gold rush over here in Beijing. So still a few available for the Friday, I'm told. It's a shot of the rider from Switzerland, Schurter, going with Fontana. Bit of a problem here for one or two of the back markers that are coming through. Let's see the number on there. Was that, I think that may well have been Piaz of Colombia. Famous colours of Denmark. They've never changed over the years, these colours. The famous red with the white hoops. Fontana there of Italy.
Putting up a good ride, Fontana. Just in that small group there, chasing group. Crashed earlier. A lot of dirt all up at one side of him. Very lucky, no injuries, and he's continued on in a good position.
A couple of back markers here we're looking at. That's XCO of Argentina and Piaz of Colombia. Two of the South American riders together. They'll all continue because it is, of course, the pride of finishing the Olympic race. Look back as you get older, memories of sport. Here we are. This is the reverse angle of the climb. Gives you a good idea of just how tough this is. Absalon just taps along. There's the British helpers there, just standing on the corner, looking obviously for Beckinsale and Killeen. Just turning round, I can tell you Florian Vogel, one of the Swiss riders. We saw him actually lying on the side of the course a little bit earlier on. I didn't reference it at the moment because I was concentrating on Absalon, but he's actually out of the race now, Vogel. And there's a problem here for the Russian as well. What's happening to Trofimov of Russia? I don't know what's happened to Trofimov of Russia, but there's nothing happened to Absalon at the front. Situation is that Beckinsale is 14th in the race now at 4:39, and Killeen has closed to 13th on 4:36, 3 seconds ahead of Beckinsale. So after being delayed with that what looked to be a very painful crash, they're both continuing. Spot on there, Adrian, and I think this is another sport for you, mate. We'll talk about it after the event is concluded, but let me just bring you up to speed with the British placings at the moment. Ollie Beckinsale is 14th, and good riding by Liam Killeen when he was lying on the floor. Remember, he was down in 48th position at one point. He's now 13th, so he's still continuing, and he's 4:36 back, though, on the leader. But let me just also tell you, or repeat the words of his coach, Gary Ford, when he said, look out for Killeen in the final 20 minutes. Now, had he not had that crash, the advice given to me by Gary would have manifested itself when I feel he would have been bidding for a medal. But that, of course, has gone a long time ago. You're looking once again at the man, the master himself, who continues here to make it look so easy. And that is Julian Absalon. Behind him is fellow teammate Perot. Got to within about 35 seconds at one point, but then the master decided he didn't want any company, and he applied the pressure again, and it's gone out to over a minute now, the advantage that the defending champion has over Perot, his nearest challenger. So this is the start of the penultimate lap now, and he's going as fast as he was at the start. Just to underline the CV of this man, he's never ever, I don't think, won a medal at a World Championship lower than the gold. He was a World Junior Champion, twice a World Under-23 Champion, 4 times a World Senior Champion. And now he's looking to become a double Olympic champion. That is a very, very impressive list of performances. Technique being shown here by the Frenchman. The vibration, the way it shakes the forearms and the biceps in this exceptionally demanding event. Now then, this is a chance to look at the style of the man from the top as the nearest pursuer now enters into the arena to cross the line with 2 to go. Perot, Frenchman, 59 seconds, so he's nibbled back a couple of seconds, but this is what Absalon does. He unfurls the power, increases the lead, then takes a breather. The rest try to play catch-up, to no avail. But it's behind Perot that we're interested in, because there's a cluster of riders there that keep swapping places, and they are all in the hunt for the bronze, and that looks as though it's going to go all the way to the full distance. Meanwhile, Absalon again sweeping round that right-hander. It is a race that they'll know they've been in a contest. We've talked about it all the way through, where there's anywhere on the course where they can find an easy line. A little bit of a free wheel, but it's straight back to the demands. And this is the Russian we saw that had got a problem earlier, Trofimov. And now Trofimov has obviously incurred the problem, and you can see there it's the chain and the derailleur. So he will have to run to the nearest technical pit area, where he will get that attended to. It'll also be very costly in time. Cyclocross, you get a similar situation to that, and once you've passed a pit area, you're not allowed to turn around and run back to it. You have to wait till you get to the next one. And there are 2 pit areas on this course. One comes after 1.5 kilometres, and the other one is after 3. The leader himself has never required any assistance, only to collect bottles for the intake of fluid. So it's looking very, very good here for Absalon. A man that will carve himself into the history books. First Olympic champion to retain the crown for the mountain bike. No sign of weakness at all.
The only thing that'll stop him from winning a gold medal here would be bad luck, and we certainly hope that doesn't happen, because he was the one that put the pressure on right from the start, opened up a big gap, and as you mentioned, in a class of his own.
Kushat of Germany, that was the view we got, but he's not the first of the Germans in the race at the moment. It's Fumich, Manuel Fumich of Germany that's the higher place. That's Nice of Belgium that's continuing here to do a phenomenal job. Going well, the former world cyclo-cross champion, Sven Nice of Belgium. He was quite well back at one time, but he's stuck at it, and now he's got up to that group which are in the hunt for the bronze. The commentator from Belgium at the velodrome was telling me, look out for Nice, he's adapted well to the mountain bike from cyclo-cross, and I tell you what, his call was correct. So that's far from over, the contest for the third spot on the podium. Galinski of Poland was tucked in at the back of that last group that we saw. Now then, the master continues. Personification of sheer class and athleticism. The balance on the bike. Sight to behold. For some of the riders, of course, with the lesser talents, it's almost like gymnastics on wheels as they struggle to handle the hazards, often going over the handlebars. But for Absalon, almost a stroll in the park for him. His voracious appetite for medals is continuing. As we look at Perot, face of anguish there from Perot. Wondering, am I going to hang on to this silver medal? I really hope so. I've put my cards on the table and made the bid for silver. He's got a minute. Absalon over his fellow countryman, but it's the gap behind Perot that we're interested in. There he is, that second string Frenchman. He's knocking on the door. Been a top 6 finisher in the past in the season-long World Cup competition. You want to see that little group behind Perot to see whether or not they are beginning to close down. Some of the damage could be done by Nice, that Belgian. You can hear the chants, can't you, for Absalon. Allez, Julien, and keep coming in from the big French following that's here. Stalled almost on some of these little drags. It ramps up, and then there's a little bit of respite as you just descend, and then once again it kicks up. Now then, I'm waiting to see what he makes of the big climb that's fast approaching up to the Temple of Heaven, the summit. And he's only got to tackle that just one more time after this. Does look powerful, Gary. This fella is an impressive athlete.
Well, I'm impressed with how consistent he's been. I mean, his first lap time is the same as what the last one was, so he's been very consistent. There hasn't been a big drop-off.
That's the little group we've been waiting to see. They are in the contest for bronze. In the blue, the famous Belgian colours is Sven Nice, the man I've been on about. A world cyclo-cross champion 3 times, and of course this park course, very similar to a cyclo-cross course, suits Nice, and that's why he's having a first-class ride here. 2 riders from Switzerland ahead. The third member of the team, Florian Vogel, is out. He took a crash a couple of laps ago. Fontana is up here as well from Italy. Sousa, a man that we expected to challenge. Christophe Sousa, bronze medal winner in Sydney. And the current world champion, Christophe Sousa. Title he's been searching to win, but due respect to Essa, I think he won at the expense of Absalon having a totally unheard of bad day when he pulled out. But I said at the top of the race, it was all about trying to beat one man, Julian Absalon, and that is exactly how it has worked out. And nobody has found the magic formula at the moment to deny this Frenchman the gold medal. Just continues with this relentless power. The war of attrition for bronze behind, 2Ks, you can see there remaining on the loop. Midway round the penultimate lap. Now then, we're just waiting for the splits. It's still ticking on, so Perot is actually losing ground. If it goes over a minute, he is losing ground. And this is Ollie Beckinsale of Great Britain that we're seeing. Well, the last time we had information through, Colleen had gone one place ahead of Beckinsale. Well, we didn't see Colleen there, but we certainly saw Beckinsale. It's 1 minute and 9 seconds now, so the Frenchman who's lying second is beginning to slip back a little bit here. He's going to need to be vigilant, keep the switch down. Let's hope he's still got a little bit of strength left in the tank, because the group behind are beginning to get a little bit twitchy as they try to sort out the bronze medal position. Fast descending style for Perot, can't afford to put a foot wrong. Getting to the sharp end now of this mountain bike contest. Didn't see Colleen there, did you see Colleen? Said a little earlier that the computer clearly indicated that Colleen had gone a place ahead of Beckinsale. He's shown us 11th here now, and Beckinsale 15th. So the reason we didn't see Colleen was that he has actually gone 4 places ahead of Beckinsale. So when they cut to that shot, Colleen had already gone through. Flags up the quality of the ride here by Colleen when you think he was 48th after that knock he took in the very early stages of lap 1. Not too dissimilar to the problem he had to deal with in Athens either. It's beginning to hurt. Hurt big time. If it's hurting Absalon, just think what it's doing to the other riders. A few images of the technique of the maestro. Master at work. For Absalon, it's beginning to look once again like a very fruitful visit to the Olympic Games. Perot is cautiously taking that right-hander, who is now trying to hold off this group. On the left, Sousa, the world champion. The right, the man, of course, who's been a rainbow jersey holder 3 times in the World Cyclocross. That's Manuel Fumich of Germany we saw, number 17. He's further back. 2 Swiss riders locked together there. Is Nino Schurter and Sousa. Schurter is the world under-23 champion at the back of the 2 Swiss, and the other rider is the world elite champion. And then behind them, number 17, is Manuel Fumich. Now, what's happened to the Belgian? Remember, they are hunting down bronze. This is Absalon again, getting ever nearer to the arena, and he's going to welcome the sound of the bell. It'll be music to his ears. He's had no company at all. As we're looking there at the rider from USA, Adam Craig. They are very similar colours to the British there, so the intonation of my voice might have lifted fractionally, because I thought it was Liam Killeen for a moment. It's going up this. Now, either Absalon has dropped his foot down seriously on the pedal, or Fumich is beginning to suffer. He's only going to have to show one little hint of fatigue, Fumich, and those riders behind him who are racing for bronze will pounce and pounce on the Frenchman big time. This gives you a lovely idea of the severity of this climb. We had a reverse angle view last time, and that I think underlined just how hard it is, even more, a back-breaking ascent. But Absalon continues to dance on the pedals, almost floating to the summit. And now for the penultimate time, he finds the right line here. Settling down at the bottom, he'll engage the right gear as he powers his way along to the arena where he's going to hear that bell. So he got a bit of stomach trouble here, that rider. I think it was the rider from Colombia. And Adam Craig, USA, not having it his own way at all, suffering. Now then, this is Perot. Now then, are we going to see any chasers behind? No, they're still too far back. They will know exactly what the gap is that's got to be bridged, but they are working like fury to try and limit the gains of Perot. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't take a cursory glance back from the top here just to see if he can see these chasers. But he still looks to have plenty of power in the legs as well. Here he is coming down the descent. Yes, he's down safely. So the brace of Frenchmen here continue to have a stranglehold on this men's mountain bike race, the last of the disciplines for cycling here in Beijing. Just need another shot back of this contest for third, because it looked as though it was beginning to fragment there as the Swiss riders Schurter and Sauser were trying to rid themselves of their shadows. Sven Nys of Belgium, after all the hard work, it looked as though he just lost contact. This is the back of the race, and it's Klaus Nielsen of Denmark that's enjoying the honour of the last spot in the race at the moment. Killeen is now being shown as 10th. What a ride here by Liam Killeen. And 12th for Ollie Beckinsale, so they're both going well. Good ride by the two British riders.
When you look at Killeen's effort, he's had to work his way back past all these other competitors, and to be only just over 4 minutes down is an incredible effort.
First class. Here is the leader coming up to the line. 1 lap to go. He hears the bell. And this is almost going to be a lap of honour for Julian Absalon, the man of the match without a shadow of a doubt. He's had nobody that could threaten him for his crown. 1 or 2, I think, fancied their chances, but Absalon is in a class on his own. Wonderful images here then of the descending skills of the maestro. Now then, it's the contest behind that's becoming very intriguing. Should still be Jean-Christophe Perot of France, second, and the Swiss beginning to have a crack at trying to get across to Perot. Clock continues to tick on. Here he is, just dropping into the arena. Sense of urgency creeping into his delivery as well. Absalon's gone further away. There it is. It's 1 minute and 7 seconds now. Gulping in the fluid there as he will once again come off that Tar Macadam finishing funnel and back onto the cross-country section. It'll be the first time that 2 riders from the same country have finished gold and silver in this mountain bike discipline. Absalon now nearly a third of the way around the final lap. Can afford to take a breather in places and just apply the pressure where it's required. Clock still ticking on for the cluster of riders in the shake-up for bronze. So it's looking like Perot is going to be okay for silver, providing he doesn't have any problems. An innocuous fall, a wrong line where he could just slip a gear or fall, and that would be very costly for him. And it looks as though the 2 riders from Switzerland, yes, they have got rid of the other competitors. These are the 2 racing it out for bronze. Sauser, world elite champion, and the world under-23 champion Nino Schurter, only 22 years of age. Coming through here into the arena. Sauser at the front. And just behind, we saw the third rider coming through as well from that group, and it's the German. He's still not completely lost contact, Manuel Fumich of Germany. So he's still in with a chance of getting back to those two from Switzerland to save Germany's blushes by getting a place on the rostrum. This is that little bit of welcome respite, Gary, where we walked when we went round the course. Fontana of Italy still up for a top 6 finishing position, but the fatigue is setting in now into the limbs, the tiredness. Distance as it continues to unravel, very demanding, but it's a good ride here by Fontana of Italy.
Well, a good comeback, especially after the crash, and I mean after 1 hour and 44 minutes, he now lies in 6th position, so he goes through there, 3 minutes 39 down.
Nice of Belgium, after that good work, he slipped back a little bit.
Well, he put a big effort in that last group there, last lap, I should say, trying to stay with the two Swiss. The Swiss, very experienced in this, of course, and himself coming from a different background. I mean, he's put up a good performance so far.
Certainly has. It was a massive effort by Nice. Just thought I saw for the first time a slight look of concern on the face of Absalon. I don't know why. But you need to be able to concentrate fully. As you said earlier in commentary, it was a good point as well. It is like a time trial. It's a race of truth, isn't it? Once you get ahead, you've got to commit yourself totally and concentrate. You're responsible totally of tapping out the pace. It's not like following a wheel and profiting from the tempo being set by another rider.
The only thing that's stopping him or would be worrying him at the moment is bad luck, and I hope he doesn't have bad luck, because he deserves to win. He's been out there for so long, and I think the only thing that would be going through his mind at the moment, he would be saying to himself, please, you know, I deserve this. I've put up the race of my life. Here's 2nd place getter, just over a minute back.
But Perot is still hanging on to that. I must admit, I was probably indicating by the intonation in my voice in commentary that I thought Perot had probably just committed himself a bit too early and was likely to fall back, but that's certainly not the case. He's doggedly clinging to that 2nd place, and the two Swiss riders behind, if they're hoping to get anywhere near him, it's going to have to be a mighty speedy effort in the closing stages, and that can lead to problems because you've got to pick the right line. 67 seconds then, the advantage over Perot, 2:38 back to the chase group. So these Frenchmen have timed their preparation to absolute perfection. Their time used in the training days on the course have proved to be extremely profitable.
Perot, they're just taking the bottle out of his off his bike there, just so he can grab another one when he goes through the pit area. 2 pit areas, of course, one on each side of the circuit. The Swiss now, difficult situation here. 2 very experienced riders there, well, fighting it out for the bronze medal.
It's a blend of youth, actually, and experience. I mean, the world under-23 champion, which is Nino Schurter, young fella, just 22 years of age, world ranked 6th. But having said that, he's always up there in the World Cup events as well with the elite, because they all ride together. So it's going to be an interesting contest there. Schurter got the better of Sousa in round 5 of the World Cup in Fort William when he finished runner-up to Florian Vogel. Switzerland filling the first 3 places on that occasion. So that's going to go all the way, right down to the wire. I wouldn't like to call it, actually. It's going to be interesting. I mean, the young fella Nino Schurter of Switzerland got the better of Sousa in round 1 in the World Cup of Hufeleis. And on that occasion, it was Absalon, amazingly, that was the victor. He's won 5 of the 7 rounds of the World Cup this year. So, as you say, where's it going to go? At the moment, Sousa just fractionally ahead of Schurter. Wouldn't like to say. I know where the gold medal's going. It's off to France. Hero of France continues. He's in the unequivocal form of his life here, isn't he? Julien Absalon. 28 just 7 days ago.
One of the toughest events in our in cycling. I mean, there wouldn't be much left in the body. Very demanding circuit. They did complain that the circuit was too easy at the trial event here. And when they arrived back, most of them have been complaining, apart from this man, of course.
Well, not most, but there were one or two, definitely, that said they felt it was too hard. I don't care how hard it is for Absalon. He can always put the rest of the field through the shredder, and he's doing it once again. Running time, you can see, confirmed after 7.5 laps. Well, I reckon he's going to begin to start to celebrate now. Final ascent of the hairpin climb, and then it'll be an easy pedal all the way into the arena. The two little climbs that will sting the legs a little bit between the summit of the Temple of Heaven climb and the finish won't bother him at all. Fruitful visit to Beijing for Absalon. He's had to wait to the penultimate day here of the games, but it's certainly proving a good wait, a profitable wait. This is his teammate, Perot, who still continues to find a good line as well. Slender, aren't they, the demands of this endurance events for the athletes. They don't carry any body fat at all. It's a season that kicks off with the first round of the World Cup in Houffalize. It's always round about the April time and then goes right on. They've just come from Bromont in Canada, round 7. That was just a couple of weeks ago in the World Cup, and they're straight here. The World Championships took place before that as well in Italy. Just wondering how much longer he's going to carry on, Absalon. I wonder if he would go to London and try and complete a hat-trick of Olympic titles. 28 years of age, be 32, it's within his compass. Christophe Sousa, who is the current world champion, he's 32 at the moment, so Absalon, with the kind of dedication and athleticism and skills that he's got, could be here in this event in London. Just caught a glimpse of Kesiakov of Sweden. He was at one point trying to get the lead in the race before Absalon decided he would take flight. Another one of those rocky sections that plays havoc with the wrists. They've been getting some superb shots as well of the shoulder and arms as the battering and shaking that they take on the descents. Well, we cut away from that then, didn't we? Because I just thought we were getting a glimpse of Sousa and Cherta, who were, I think, starting to get separated. So maybe the bid for bronze is starting to unfold itself. Canadian rider we're looking at, Jeff Cabouche, but he's not been in the hunt at all. Stretched out a little bit more now, the lead, 1:11. Biggest winning margin we've had in the Olympic contest came actually in the 96 games in Atlanta, when Brenchens beat Frischneck of Switzerland by 2 minutes and 36 seconds, and the nearest margin was in Sydney when Martinez of France beat Meerhager of Belgium by 63 seconds. No, I take it back. The nearest margin actually came in Athens when it was 60 seconds, 1 minute, that Absalon headed the Spaniard for gold. This is it, the final time, Julien. Looks back, just took a look back there, but he's nothing to worry about. On to the right-hander here. 2 more of these bends ahead of him, higher up, which are even steeper. And then it's the descent, and it's going to be a sweet victory for Julien Absalon. Julian Absalon on the descent now. You can't see the last two little climbs that he has to go up, but it won't matter. This is going to be a popular, sweet victory for Julian Absalon. This will swell the medal tally for the French here in Beijing, the gold medal tally to 2. This coming off the gold medal victory yesterday by Anne-Caroline Chasson, ACC, in the women's BMX. Here is Perrault, still silver medal. Nobody we can glimpse through the trees, so he's safe. At one point I was doubting whether he could keep clear, but it's looking very good for him. Absalon continues, tapping out the winning rhythm at the head of the field. Get that line right and it could be a little bit costly, but he got it absolutely spot on, as he has done throughout the whole of the event. This is the descending skills of Perrault, who's trailing the master by 65 seconds. And I'm just waiting for the shot back to see if there has been a final attack by Schurter of Switzerland to get rid of Sauser. This is that little lip I was telling you about. If your legs were beginning to buckle here so close to the finish and you were with another rider, that could be a bit costly, but it wasn't to be. Absalon just turning round and smiling at the fan who was shouting allez, allez, Julien to him. Well, he's turned on the style here big time in Beijing. He has underlined why he is the master, the #1, respected by every mountain biker in the world, the greatest exponent of this off-road discipline. Big smile beginning to appear on his face now as he's got the arena in his sights. Julian Absalon, the 4-time world champion, is about to make history by successfully defending his Olympic title, the first man ever to achieve that crown. And here we go, the arms are raised in the victory salute. Julian Absalon, the 28-year-old Frenchman, coming up to the line to take gold. He is the Olympic champion here in Beijing, and the crowd are absolutely loving it. Thank you very much, he says. He taps the road. You've been kind to me today. I didn't have any trouble, apart from a bit of fatigue creeping into the muscles, but he is the master. When he decided to take off, he took off big time. No one else could match him. The world champion 4 times. He's home and dry. Had a little bit of a blip in the season. Retired in the World Championships this year. Said he was fatigued, and he said, I'm going away for a short rest before my final build-up for Beijing. Well, he knows his body well. The job he did was spot on. And he's in the arena now with the gold medal, waiting for the arrival of his teammate who's going to collect silver. And that's Jean-Christophe Perrault, and it's the first time any country has taken gold and silver in this contest that came into the Olympics in Atlanta in 1996 for the first time. So Perrault celebrates with the best finishing position of his career, and he gets silver. Now then, what's going to happen behind? We want to see the bronze medal contest finally unfurling here. Both in, first and second from France. Absalon the champion, and second is Perrault. Well, it's looking like the world under-23 champion has given Sauser the slip here to come in for bronze. Sauser has been given the slip, and Schurter of Switzerland, 10 years, Sauser's junior. He's looking set to collect the bronze medal. Here he comes. Yes, it's bronze for Schurter of Switzerland, 4th place for Sauser of Switzerland. So it's ironic that 2 countries have filled each of the cluster of places. Gold and silver going to France, bronze and 4th place going to Switzerland. Well-earned rest here as Nino Schurter, the world under-23 champion, 22 years of age, adds a bronze medal in the Olympics to the trophy cabinet that's already beginning to fill up rapidly for this young man. But here, the victory salute for the man of the match, without any shadow of a doubt. Julien Absalon of France is the Olympic champion and gold medal winner. He certainly did turn on the style. His voracious appetite for the top podium spots, never questioned. It just continues and continues, and don't discount this fella if he carries on to be in the hunt for the gold medal when the Olympics are in London in 2012. The traditional payoff at the end of a mountain bike race with the lifting of the bike. Absalon, the champion. An emphatic display of courage, strength, athleticism, skill. You just think of it. He never ever put a foot wrong. The master at work. The rest of the riders still out on the course, completing this final lap. Celebrations beginning already in the French camp. There it is, confirmed for you. The winning margin, 1 minute and 7 seconds in the end over Perot. Cherta of Switzerland taking bronze, 1 minute 53 back, and then a further 2 seconds back for fourth Christoph Sauser of Switzerland. And at the moment, it would appear they are the only 4 finishers, as we're now seeing from Italy. Fontana with a wheelie to the line. The style of the man. Look at this for bike riding skills. Brilliant. Marco Fontana. Wheelies all the way down the finishing straight to claim 5th position. And just behind him, Christoph Sukov coming through from Austria, 6th, I think that is. First glimpse. And look at that for a ride. Liam Killeen coming in 7th. After at one point being 48th due to that big-time crash on the side of the course. Once again, it's the same story for Killeen as it was in Athens when he was delayed just after the start, I should say, with a mammoth crash, and he got right back up to 5th. Today he was 48th at one point, and he has closed out with 7th. A sensational piece of bike riding by Liam Killeen. His coach told me, Gary Ford, he was in the form of his life, back to the form we used to associate with him, and he said, expect him in the closing lap to come through. Well. But for that problem in the early stages, Killeen surely would have been up there on the podium today. The Commonwealth gold medalist, Liam Killeen, showing the skill and style he's got. 4th in the World Championships this year. This is the man that got the better of Sauser to clinch bronze. Nino Cherta of Switzerland. It's been a great day here at the Loshan mountain bike course within the backdrop of the Loshan Old Mountain. And the right man won without any shadow of a doubt. Rest of the places, I can tell you can see on the screen. 12 for Ollie Beckinsale. Ollie Beckinsale will be pleased with that finishing position. Best place finish for Beckinsale, triple Olympian. He was 17th in Athens. More riders coming in here. Looking at the Belgian, number 10 here, Roel Pollesen. And Pollesen, very accomplished mountain biker. The rest of the field coming in to complete what has been a very, very demanding race here. The final event in the cycling disciplines, which has seen Great Britain amass a huge amount of success. Gold medals in the sprint, team sprint, Keirin individual pursuit and team pursuit, and for the women landing the sprint, the individual pursuit and the road. Silvers, of course, coming as well in the Keirin and in the pursuit for the women, and the time trial, and also silver medal in the sprint for the men as well to Kenny. They also had a couple of bronze medals. That was Chris Newton in the points, and a bronze medal for Burke in the individual pursuit. So let me just tidy up the result here. The British placings, you can see 12th place for Beckinsale of Great Britain, 7th for Liam Killeen, but the medal positions are filled by Julien Absalon taking